The galactic stage, humanity's unexpected role. In the vast expanse of the Milky Way, countless civilizations had risen and fallen over millennia. By the time humanity ventured beyond its solar system, the galaxy was a complex tapestry of alliances, rivalries, and uneasy truces. Earth's first contact with alien life came not with a bang, but with a whisper, a faint signal detected by a deep space probe, carrying a message of greeting from the Zarn Confederation. Admiral Elena Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the UES Horizon, Earth's first true interstellar vessel. As she gazed out at the swirling stars, she couldn't shake the feeling that humanity was stepping onto a stage far grander and more perilous than anyone had imagined. Admiral, her XO, Commander Tarek Khalil, called out, "We're receiving a transmission from Zarn Prime. They're warning us to turn back." Elena frowned. This wasn't the warm welcome they'd been promised. "Put it on screen, Commander." The view screen flickered to life, revealing a being that looked like a cross between an octopus and a tree. Its bark-like skin rippled with patterns of bioluminescence as it spoke. "Humans of Earth," the translator rendered its words in a flat, emotionless tone. "We regret to inform you that your presence in this sector is no longer welcome. Recent developments have forced us to reconsider our invitation. Please return to your home system immediately." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. "Developments? What developments?" "We've come in peace, as agreed." The Zarn diplomat's tendrils writhed in what Elena interpreted as discomfort. We cannot discuss this further. Leave now, or we will be forced to take defensive action." The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. "Orders, Admiral," Tarek asked, his voice tight with tension. Elena's mind raced. They couldn't just turn back, not after years of preparation and the hopes of all humanity riding on this mission. But neither could they risk an interstellar incident by pressing forward. "Hold position," she commanded, "and get me a secure line to Earth. We need to inform the Council of this complication." As the crew scrambled to comply, Elena retreated to her ready room. She activated her personal console and began composing a message to her old friend and mentor, Dr. Aisha Patel, the head of Earth's Sinological Institute. "Aisha," she began, "something's very wrong out here. The Zarn are terrified of us, but I can't figure out why. I need your insights, and fast. Whatever's happening, I fear it's bigger than just our little expedition." Hours later, as Elena pored over star charts and diplomatic records, searching for any clue to explain the Zarn's sudden hostility, her console chimed. It was Aisha's reply. "Elena, what you're experiencing isn't isolated. We've been picking up chatter from multiple alien civilizations, all expressing fear and mistrust of humanity. But here's the kicker. They're not talking about anything we've actually done. They're scared of what they think we might do. I've been analyzing the data, and I've come to a disturbing conclusion. Someone, or something, is spreading misinformation about humanity throughout the galaxy. We're being painted as ruthless conquerors, bloodthirsty warriors with technology far beyond our actual capabilities. The question is, who benefits from turning the galaxy against us before we've even stepped onto the cosmic stage? And more importantly, what can we do about it?" Elena leaned back in her chair, her mind reeling. This was far worse than she'd imagined. Humanity wasn't just facing a diplomatic snafu. They were being set up as the bogeyman of the entire galaxy. Just then, Tarek's voice came over the intercom. "Admiral, you need to see this. We're picking up massive energy signatures from multiple vectors. It looks like we're about to have company." Elena rushed back to the bridge, her heart pounding. The main view screen was a chaos of blinking lights, each representing a ship dropping out of faster-than-light travel. "How many?" she demanded. Tarek's voice was barely above a whisper. "Hundreds, Admiral. Maybe thousands, and they're from at least a dozen different species." As Elena watched, The ships began to form up into attack formations. The UES horizon, Earth's proudest achievement, suddenly seemed very small and very alone. "They're hailing us," the communications officer reported. Elena squared her shoulders. Whatever came next would define humanity's place in the galaxy for generations to come. "On screen," she ordered. The view screen flickered, and Elena found herself facing a panel of alien faces, each wearing an expression that needed no translation. Fear, anger, and grim determination. A reptilian being with iridescent scales spoke first. "Humans," it hissed, "your reign of terror ends here. Surrender now, or face the combined might of the galaxy." Elena's mind raced. They were outnumbered and outgunned. Fighting was suicide, and surrender meant the end of humanity's dreams of joining the galactic community. There had to be another way. And then, in a moment of clarity, she saw it. The path forward was clear, but it would require the greatest sacrifice humanity had ever made. "This is Admiral Elena Rodriguez of Earth," she began, her voice steady despite the trembling in her hands. "We will not surrender, but neither will we fight. Instead, I have a proposal, one that will reveal the truth about humanity and expose the real threat to galactic peace." As Elena outlined her plan, she could see the confusion and skepticism on the alien faces, but she also saw a glimmer of something else: hope. The fate of Earth, and perhaps the entire galaxy, now hung in the balance, and it all depended on humanity's willingness to play the role they'd been cast in, to become the villain in order to save everyone. The ruse begins. Humanity's first attack. Admiral Elena Rodriguez's plan was audacious, dangerous, and quite possibly insane. But as she stood on the bridge of the UES horizon, facing down the combined fleets of a dozen alien races, she knew it was their only hope. "You claim to have a proposal," the reptilian alien hissed, its forked tongue flicking out in a gesture of impatience. "Speak quickly, human, before we lose our patience." Elena took a deep breath. "You believe us to be conquerors, monsters capable of unspeakable destruction. We are not. But we are willing to become what you fear, in appearance, at least, to expose the true threat to galactic peace." Murmurs of confusion rippled through the alien coalition, a bulbous gelatinous being pulsed with skepticism as it spoke. "Explain yourself, human. How does becoming the very thing we fear serve anyone?" "Because," Elena said, her voice firm, "whoever has spread these lies about humanity wants the galaxy divided. They want you to waste your resources and attention on us while they pursue their true agenda. We propose to play along, to become the villain you expect. In doing so, we'll force the real threat to reveal itself." The alien leaders conferred among themselves, their debate a cacophony of clicks, whistles, and guttural sounds. Finally, the reptilian being turned back to Elena. "And how do we know this isn't some elaborate trick? That you won't simply use this opportunity to actually conquer us?" Elena smiled grimly. "You don't. That's the point. But consider this. If we truly had the power you believe we do, why would we be here, alone, facing your combined might? Why not simply crush you all?" The logic seemed to give the aliens pause. Elena pressed her advantage. "We'll give you a show. Make it look like we're launching devastating attacks. But I give you my word, and the word of all humanity, that not a single sentient being will be harmed in this charade." After more heated debate, the alien coalition agreed to Elena's proposal, albeit with extreme reluctance and suspicion. The stage was set for humanity's greatest performance, and its greatest risk. Back on Earth, the plan was met with mixed reactions. Many saw it as a betrayal of human values, a dangerous game that could backfire catastrophically. Others recognized it as a necessary evil, a chance to secure humanity's place in the galactic community while uncovering a genuine threat. Dr. Aisha Patel, working tirelessly with her team at the Xenological Institute, provided the key to making the ruse believable. They developed a series of weapons that could create spectacular, terrifying effects without causing actual harm. Holographic projectors that could simulate massive destruction. Electromagnetic pulses that could temporarily disable alien technology without permanent damage. And perhaps most crucially, a fleet of unmanned drones that could be sacrificed in battles to make the conflict seem real. As preparations neared completion, Elena found herself in a secure bunker deep beneath the lunar surface. Alongside her stood the newly formed War Council, a mix of military strategists, xenobiologists, and diplomats tasked with orchestrating humanity's grand deception. The Zarn Confederation has agreed to be our first target, General Marcus Chen reported, his weathered face grim. They're evacuating several outlying colonies as we speak, making it look like they're fleeing in terror from our approach. Elena nodded, feeling the weight of what they were about to do, and our weapon. Dr. Patel stepped forward, activating a holographic display. We're calling it the Nova Flare. When detonated, it will create a burst of energy visible across half the sector. To any instruments, it'll look like we've harnessed the power of a small star. In reality, it's mostly light and harmless radiation. What about the Zarn homeworld? Elena asked. We need to make this convincing, but we can't risk actual casualties. Marcus grimaced. That's where it gets tricky. We'll be deploying our drone fleet, making it look like we're launching a full-scale invasion. The Zarn Defense Forces will engage, destroying our unmanned ships. To the rest of the galaxy, it'll appear as though we're suffering heavy losses, but pressing on with inhuman determination. Elena closed her eyes, imagining the scene. Across the galaxy, billions of beings would watch in horror as humanity seemingly brought a peaceful civilization to its knees. Earth would become a name spoken in whispers, a boogeyman to frighten children. And you're sure the Zarn leadership can keep this secret? She asked, opening her eyes to meet Marcus's steady gaze. He nodded. They understand the stakes. Only their top military and government officials know the truth. To everyone else, including their own citizens, this will look terrifyingly real. As the final preparations were made, Elena retreated to her private quarters. She activated her personal console, recording a message for posterity and for her own conscience. To whoever may find this in the future, she began, her voice heavy with the burden of command. Know that what we do not out of malice or greed, but out of necessity. Humanity stands ready to bear the hatred of the galaxy, to become the monster under every alien bed, so that true peace might have a chance. We take on this burden willingly, knowing that our sacrifice may never be fully understood or appreciated. But we do it in the hope that one day the truth will come to light, and the galaxy will know that when faced with an impossible choice, humanity chose to be the villain so that others might be the heroes. The message recorded, Elena straightened her uniform and headed for the command center. It was time. With a heavy heart but unwavering resolve, she gave the order that would change the course of galactic history. Operation Scapegoat is a go. May whatever gods might be watching over us have mercy on our souls. Across the vast emptiness of space, the UES Horizon and its escorts accelerated towards the Zarn Confederation. To any observer, it looked like the vanguard of an unstoppable invasion force. But inside the ships, human crews worked with grim determination, knowing that their every action would be scrutinized by a terrified galaxy. As they approached the first Zarn colony world, Elena stood on the bridge, her face illuminated by the swirling holographic displays. She took a deep breath, steeling herself for what came next. Deploy the Nova Flare, she commanded, her voice steady despite the turmoil in her heart. A brilliant burst of energy erupted from the horizon, engulfing the Zarn world in a dazzling display of light and false destruction. Across the sector, instruments registered an explosion of impossible magnitude. And in that moment, the galaxy's worst fears were confirmed. Humanity had arrived, and it was every bit as terrifying as they had been led to believe. The ruse had begun. But as the false invasion unfolded, Alina couldn't shake the feeling that they were playing directly into someone's hands. The question remained, who truly benefited from humanity's fall from grace? And would they be able to uncover the truth before the cost became too high to bear? Escalation. The galaxy unites against the human threat. The aftermath of humanity's attack on the Zarn Confederation sent shockwaves through the galaxy. As reports of the devastation spread, fear turned to outrage, and outrage to action. Species that had been bitter enemies for millennia now found common cause in their opposition to the human threat. Admiral Alina Rodriguez watched from the bridge of the UES horizon as the Galactic Coalition grew. Fleets that would have once fired on each other at first sight now flew in formation, united by their determination to stop the human menace. "It's working almost too well," Alina muttered, studying the tactical displays. Commander Tarek Khalil nodded grimly. "The question is, can we keep control of this narrative, or are we about to be overwhelmed by the very fear we've cultivated?" Before Alina could respond, a priority communication came through from Earth. Dr. Aisha Patel's face appeared on the screen, her expression a mix of excitement and concern. "Alina, we've made a breakthrough," Aisha said without preamble. "We've identified the source of the original misinformation about humanity. It's coming from a region of space we've dubbed the Void, a massive area with no apparent star systems or habitable planets." Alina leaned forward, her interest piqued. "The Void? How is that possible?" Aisha's image flickered as she pulled up a star chart. "We're not sure, but we think it might be artificially created. A massive cloaking field, perhaps, hiding whoever is behind all this." Escalation. The galaxy unites against the human threat. The aftermath of humanity's attack on the Zarn Confederation sent shockwaves through the galaxy. As reports of the devastation spread, fear turned to outrage, and outrage to action. Species that had been bitter enemies for millennia now found common cause in their opposition to the human threat. Admiral Alina Rodriguez watched from the bridge of the UES horizon as the Galactic Coalition grew. Fleets that would have once fired on each other at first sight now flew in formation, united by their determination to stop the human menace. "It's working almost too well," Alina muttered, studying the tactical displays. Commander Tarek Khalil nodded grimly. "The question is, can we keep control of this narrative, or are we about to be overwhelmed by the very fear we've cultivated?" Before Alina could respond, a priority communication came through from Earth. Dr. Aisha Patel's face appeared on the screen, her expression a mix of excitement and concern. "Alina, we've made a breakthrough," Aisha said without preamble. "We've identified the source of the original misinformation about humanity. It's coming from a region of space we've dubbed the Void, a massive area with no apparent star systems or habitable planets." Alina leaned forward, her interest piqued. "The Void? How is that possible?" Aisha's image flickered as she pulled up a star chart. "We're not sure, but we think it might be artificially created. A massive cloaking field, perhaps, hiding whoever is behind all this." "Or whatever," Tarek added quietly. Alina nodded, her mind racing. "This changes things. We need to adjust our strategy, push the coalition towards investigating the Void." "Agreed," Aisha said. "But be careful. Whoever is in there clearly has technology far beyond anything we've seen. They could be the real threat we've been looking for, or something far worse." As the communication ended, Alina turned to her crew. "All right, people, we're entering Phase 2. It's time to escalate our attacks and leave some breadcrumbs for our galactic friends to follow." Over the next few weeks, humanity's apparent rampage continued. The UES horizon and its support fleet struck at seemingly random targets across the galaxy, always with spectacular displays of power, but no actual casualties. Each attack was carefully choreographed to appear more desperate, more reckless. And with each strike, Alina made sure to leave subtle clues, energy signatures that pointed towards the Void, communication patterns that hinted at a hidden puppet master. But as the deception grew, so did the strain on the human crews. The weight of the galaxy's hatred bore down on them, even knowing it was based on a lie. Morale began to suffer, and Elena found herself spending more and more time counseling her people, reminding them of the importance of their mission. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the situation was growing tense. Despite the government's best efforts to keep the true nature of Operation Scapegoat secret, rumors had begun to circulate. Protests erupted in major cities, with citizens demanding an end to the war and a return to peaceful exploration. In a secure bunker beneath Geneva, the United Earth Council convened an emergency session. Holographic representations of world leaders flickered into existence, their faces grave. "This charade has gone on long enough," the representative from the African Union declared. "We're losing the trust of our own people, all for a gamble that may not pay off." "And what would you have us do?" countered the Asian Pacific Alliance leader. "Reveal the truth. Watch as the galaxy turns on us for real, this time with justification." As the debate raged, Dr. Aisha Patel stepped forward. "Esteemed leaders, I understand your concerns, but we're close to a breakthrough. Our probes have detected unusual energy fluctuations at the edge of the void. We believe the coalition forces are beginning to investigate." The room fell silent as Aisha's words sank in. Finally, the Secretary General spoke. "Very well. We'll continue as planned. But Dr. Patel, Admiral Rodriguez, you're on a clock. Find us answers, and find them soon." Back in space, Elena received the Council's decision with mixed emotions. She knew they were walking a razor's edge, risking everything on this elaborate deception. But as she studied the latest intelligence reports, she felt a glimmer of hope. The coalition was indeed turning its attention to the void, curious about the strange patterns emerging from humanity's attacks. "Commander Khalil," Elena called out, "prepare the fleet. It's time for our grand final." Tarek raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am." Elena's lips curved in a grim smile. "We're going to attack the void itself. Make it look like we're seeking reinforcements or activating some doomsday weapon. Whatever it takes to draw the coalition in after us." As the human fleet moved into position, tension mounted across the galaxy. Billions of beings watched and waited, certain they were about to witness either humanity's final triumph or its ultimate defeat. The UEA's Horizon led the charge, its weapon systems creating a dazzling light show as they attacked the edge of the void. For several tense hours, it seemed as though nothing would happen. And then, suddenly, everything changed. A massive energy surge erupted from the void, engulfing the human ships. To the watching galaxy, it appeared as though humanity had finally overreached, triggering some ancient defense system that was now destroying them. But aboard the Horizon, Elena and her crew watched in awe as the truth revealed itself. The void was dissolving, its cloaking field collapsing to reveal a massive artificial structure, a Dyson sphere encompassing an entire star system. "By all that's holy," Tarek breathed. "What is that?" Before Elena could respond, a new signal cut across all communication channels. A voice, ancient and powerful, echoed through space. "Humans of Earth, you have passed the test. Enter and learn the truth of your galaxy's history and its future." As the message faded, Elena felt a mixture of vindication and trepidation. They had succeeded in their goal, uncovering the hidden force manipulating galactic events. But now, as the coalition fleet approached and the Dyson sphere beckoned, she realized that their greatest challenge, and humanity's true role in the cosmic drama, was only just beginning. "Take us in," she ordered, her voice steady despite the pounding of her heart. "Whatever happens next, we face it together." The UES Horizon and its escorts moved forward, crossing the threshold into the revealed star system. Behind them, the coalition fleet followed, drawn by curiosity, and the sudden realization that perhaps, just perhaps, they had misjudged humanity after all. As they approached the Dyson sphere, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the cusp of something monumental. Whatever lay within that colossal structure would change the course of galactic history and humanity's place in it forever. The truth revealed. Humanity's ultimate sacrifice. As the UEA's horizon and its escorts crossed the threshold of the Dyson sphere, Admiral Elena Rodriguez felt a sense of vertigo. The interior of the massive structure defied comprehension. A world turned inside out, with a star at its core providing light and energy to uncountable habitats and structures lining the inner surface. "My God," Commander Tarek Khalil whispered, his eyes wide with awe. "It's like nothing we've ever imagined." Before Elena could respond, a new presence made itself known. A holographic figure materialized on the bridge, a beam of pure energy, its form constantly shifting and flowing. "Welcome, humans," the being said, its voice resonating not just through the air, but seemingly through the very fabric of reality. "I am the custodian, keeper of the crucible." Elena stepped forward, her heart pounding, but her voice steady. "I am Admiral Elena Rodriguez of Earth. We've come seeking answers." The custodian's form pulsed with what might have been amusement. "And answers you shall have, Admiral. But first, observe." With a gesture, the custodian brought up a series of holographic displays, showing the coalition fleet that had followed the humans into the sphere. Elena watched as confusion and awe played across alien faces, replaced quickly by dawning realization, and in some cases, shame. "They're figuring it out," Tarek said quietly. "That we weren't the threat they thought we were." The custodian nodded. "Indeed, your species has performed admirably in the test, demonstrating a willingness to sacrifice your own reputation for the greater good. It is a quality we have long sought." "Test?" Elena's eyes narrowed. "You mean this was all some sort of cosmic experiment?" "In a manner of speaking," the custodian replied. "For eons, we have watched the younger races of this galaxy, waiting for one with the potential to become its guardians. Many have shown promise, but all have ultimately fallen short, too prone to aggression, too easily manipulated by fear." The being's form shifted, taking on a more humanoid appearance. "Your species, however, showed a unique combination of traits: intelligence, adaptability, and most crucially, a capacity for self-sacrifice in service of a greater cause." Elena felt a mix of pride and anger. "So you spread lies about us, turned the galaxy against us, all to see how we'd react." "Precisely," the custodian said. "And in choosing to become the villain, to bear the galaxy's hatred for the sake of uncovering the truth, you proved yourselves worthy of the responsibility we must now pass on to you." Before Elena could ask what that responsibility entailed, a commotion from the coalition fleet caught her attention. Ships were moving into defensive formations, weapons charging. "It seems not all are as quick to accept the truth," the custodian observed. Elena realized the danger immediately. If the coalition attacked now, everything they had worked for would be lost. She opened a channel to the fleet. "This is Admiral Rodriguez to all ships. Stand down. I repeat, stand down. What you've seen, what you think you know about humanity, it's not the full story. Give us a chance to explain." For a tense moment, it seemed as though her words would go unheeded. Then, slowly, the coalition ships powered down their weapons. A familiar face appeared on the view screen, the reptilian leader who had first confronted Elena weeks ago. "Speak quickly, human," it hissed, "and pray your explanation is satisfactory." Over the next several hours, Elena, with the custodian's help, laid out the full story. The test, humanity's decision to play along, and the greater purpose behind it all. As understanding dawned, the mood among the coalition leaders shifted from hostility to a wary respect. "You risked everything," the reptilian leader said finally. "You're standing in the galaxy, the trust of your own people. Why?" Elena met its gaze steadily. "Because it was the right thing to do. Because sometimes, to achieve peace, someone has to be willing to be seen as the aggressor." The custodian's form pulsed with approval. "And that, young ones, is why humanity has been chosen. They understand that true strength lies not in domination, but in the willingness to bear burdens for others. As the implications of the custodian's words sank in, Alina felt a weight settling on her shoulders. Chosen for what exactly? The being's form expanded, encompassing the entire bridge in a field of shimmering energy. To become the new custodians of the Crucible, to guide the galaxy's evolution, to stand watch against threats from beyond, and to prepare for the trials that are yet to come. The alien leaders erupted in a cacophony of protests and questions. Alina held up a hand, silencing them. And if we refuse? The custodian's form dimmed slightly. Then the cycle will continue. We will wait for another race to prove itself worthy, while the galaxy remains vulnerable to threats it cannot yet comprehend. Alina closed her eyes, feeling the weight of the decision before her. When she opened them, she saw her own crew looking to her, trust and determination in their eyes. She saw the alien leaders, wary but curious, beginning to see humans not as conquerors but as potential allies. "We'll do it," Alina said finally, "but not alone. Humanity will accept this responsibility, but we'll need the help and trust of every species in the galaxy. This has to be a collective effort." The custodian's form brightened, expanding to fill the entire chamber. "Then let it be so. The age of isolation is over. The age of unity begins." As the custodian's energy washed over them, Alina felt knowledge and power beyond imagining flowing into her mind. She saw the true history of the galaxy, the threats that lurked in the dark spaces between the stars, and the potential futures that stretched out before them. But more than that, she felt a connection to her crew, to the alien leaders watching in awe, and to every sentient being in the galaxy. In that moment, she understood the true meaning of their sacrifice and the magnitude of the task ahead. As the energy faded, Alina found herself standing at the center of a transformed bridge. The walls had become transparent, offering a breathtaking view of the Dyson Sphere's interior and the gathered fleets beyond. She turned to face the assembled leaders of the galaxy, human and alien alike. Her voice, when she spoke, carried the weight of their shared destiny. "We have been given a great responsibility and an even greater opportunity. The path ahead will not be easy, but together we can forge a future brighter than any of us could have imagined. The question is, are you ready to take that journey with us?" One by one, the alien leaders stepped forward, offering gestures of agreement and solidarity. As Alina watched, she realized that their grand deception had achieved something far greater than they had ever dared to hope. It had united the galaxy not in fear, but in shared purpose and understanding. The true work, she knew, was only beginning. But as she looked out at the vast expanse of the Crucible and the stars beyond, Alina felt a surge of hope. Humanity had played its part, becoming the villain to save the galaxy. Now, it was time to become something more: guardians, teachers, and bridges between worlds. The future, with all its challenges and possibilities, awaited. A new era, rebuilding trust and forging alliances. The days following the revelation at the Crucible were a whirlwind of activity. As news spread throughout the galaxy, reactions ranged from disbelief to outrage to cautious optimism. Admiral Alina Rodriguez found herself at the center of it all, working tirelessly to bridge the gap between humanity's new role and the rest of the galactic community. Back on Earth, the truth of Operation Scapegoat had finally been revealed to the public. The response was mixed. Some hailed the decision as a masterful stroke of diplomacy and self-sacrifice, while others decried it as a betrayal of human values and autonomy. In a historic address to the United Earth Council, broadcast across the planet, and to every corner of the galaxy, Alina stood before a sea of faces, both human and alien. "People of Earth, citizens of the galaxy," she began, her voice steady despite the enormity of the moment. "We stand at a crossroads. The path that led us here was fraught with deception and fear, but it has opened up possibilities we could never have imagined." She paused, letting her gaze sweep across the assembly. To those who feel betrayed by our actions, I say this: your anger is justified. We took on a terrible burden, becoming the monster under the galaxy's bed. But we did so not out of a desire for power or domination, but out of a profound hope for a better future for all sentient beings. Murmurs rippled through the crowd as Elena continued. And to our allies across the stars, many of whom we so recently counted as enemies, I offer both apology and gratitude. Your willingness to look beyond the lies, to see the truth of our intentions, speaks to the best qualities of all our species. The reptilian leader, now identified as Ambassador Zixera of the Saurian Conclave, stepped forward. Admiral Rodriguez speaks truly, Zixera announced, its voice translated for all to hear. Humanity has demonstrated a capacity for self-sacrifice that has humbled us all. They have earned the right to guide us into this new era, not as conquerors, but as partners. As Zixera spoke, Elena couldn't help but marvel at how quickly things had changed. Just weeks ago, this same being had been ready to lead the charge to wipe humanity from the face of the galaxy. Dr. Aisha Patel, who had played such a crucial role in unraveling the mystery of the void, joined Elena on the platform. The knowledge imparted to us by the custodian is vast, Aisha explained, activating a holographic display. It speaks of threats from beyond our galaxy, of civilizations risen and fallen over billions of years. But it also shows us a path forward, a way to unite our sciences, our cultures, our very ways of thinking. The display shifted, showing a network of interconnected worlds and species, with Earth at its heart. This is the Galactic Concordat, Elena announced, a new framework for cooperation and mutual defense. Under this agreement, each species retains its autonomy, but we pool our resources and knowledge for the greater good. Over the next several hours, representatives from every major galactic power took turns speaking, asking questions and offering suggestions. It was messy, contentious at times, but Elena could see the foundations of something truly remarkable taking shape. As the session drew to a close, a young Zarn diplomat, a member of the very species humanity had first attacked, approached Elena. "Admiral," it said, its bioluminescent patterns flickering with what Elena had learned to recognize as curiosity. "There is something I do not understand." The custodian spoke of preparing for trials yet to come. What did it mean? Elena smiled grimly. "That, my young friend, is the question that will define our future." The custodian showed us glimpses of potential threats, extragalactic invaders, cosmic phenomena beyond our current understanding, even the possibility of hostile intelligences from other dimensions. The Zarn's tendrils writhed in what might have been fear or excitement. And we are to face these threats. Us, who so recently could barely cooperate with our nearest neighbors. Together, Elena emphasized, we face them together. And that is why we need the Concordat. No single species, not even humanity with the knowledge of the Crucible, can stand against what's coming alone. As word of the Galactic Concordat spread, changes began to ripple across known space. Trade routes that had been closed for centuries reopened. Scientific exchanges flourished, with breakthroughs in one sector quickly disseminated to all. And slowly, cautiously, a sense of shared purpose began to take root. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. On a dozen worlds, hardliners and isolationists protested against joining the Concordat. Some saw it as a human ploy for domination, others as a weakening of their species' unique identity. The Zarn's tendrils writhed in what might have been fear or excitement, and we are to face these threats. Us, who so recently could barely cooperate with our nearest neighbors. Together, Elena emphasized, we face them together, and that is why we need the Concordat. No single species, not even humanity with the knowledge of the Crucible, can stand against what's coming alone. As word of the Galactic Concordat spread, changes began to ripple across known space. Trade routes that had been closed for centuries reopened. Scientific exchanges flourished, with breakthroughs in one sector quickly disseminated to all. And slowly, cautiously, A sense of shared purpose began to take root. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. On a dozen worlds, hardliners and isolationists protested against joining the Concordat. Some saw it as a human ploy for domination, others as a weakening of their species' unique identity. Elena found herself shuttling from one crisis to another, mediating disputes, offering reassurances, and sometimes simply listening as centuries of grievances were aired. During a rare quiet moment aboard the UES Horizon, now serving as the mobile headquarters for the fledgling Concordat, Elena stood with Commander Tarek Khalil, looking out at the star-studded void. "Do you ever wonder if we did the right thing?" Tarek asked quietly.